Hey guys, it's Ethan from Zimmer Labs. I was just wanted to do a quick video today of the Tusken Slayer that I just finished building. I really can't say enough good things about this hilt. This was done by Watto's Junkyard. They're a group of guys over in Germany, and they do just exactly what you'd expect German lightsaber designers to do. They make really highly, carefully crafted works of art. This thing is definitely the BMW of hilts. With that said, let's run through it a bit. This guy is pretty phenomenal, but there isn't all that much to show you guys because the saber they chose to do, the Anakin Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, I mean, hilt is just, it's a real basic saber. There's not a whole lot going on with it that you can really jazz up. So I did my best, but the first thing I want to point out with this guy is, as you can see, it's beautiful. Like, they did an absolutely terrific job. All the details are impeccable. The finish, as you can see, is impeccable. There's only one gripe I have with it, which I will get into a little bit later, but that is the rubber grips. I guess probably just because by the fact of they are in fact rubber instead of plastic or neoprene or anything like that. They have all of the inherent flaws that you get with rubber, which again I'll deal with later, so let's not get sidetracked. So to begin with, this guy is a Neopixel Teensysaber. It has a Saber Project chassis in it, full installation with Colorcycle accent LEDs, no crystal chamber because the crystal chamber available for this is just so tiny and ineffectual that it almost seemed pointless to me. I figured it would make more sense to save the money and put the extra energy and engineering and work into making the base chassis and the saber itself just that much better. So let's look right quick at this guy. We begin here with two accent LEDs. The top one is red, the bottom one is green. Like I do with my Luke Return of the Jedi hilts, I like to program the electronics so that when the saber is turned on, powered on, but not ignited, your red LED is solid. When the saber is turned off, you get no LEDs, so it's really easy to look just at a glance to see if it has power or not. Back on the end here, you'll notice that you have recharge port, port for speaker, and a master kill switch slide switch right there. So let's go ahead and that side switch. Red light's on, power's on. These two little tiny LEDs here are your auxiliary and your activation button. So let's go ahead and activate it. Now you'll notice that the green light is on. Turn it back off, red light's back, so on and so forth. Just a real basic, simple way of, using the lights and getting function out of them. This guy right here, this is the removable modular speaker. This chassis is designed to be modular and totally removable, which is great. One of my favorite aspects of saber design is to have everything be modular and removable. But you'll notice there's two just round header pins here. There's your reverse female connector for those header pins. So this guy literally just plugs right in there. Just pop it on. That's it. And you'll notice that now we have audio. This is a KR premium 24mm mid-woofer speaker. It is, I think, right around the best available speaker at this size. The other mid-woofer that I used in my Return of the Jedi hilts is as good, maybe slightly better than this one, but this is real close to the best you can get for this. Let me show you the other options. So, really the options for doing this hilt for speakers are the KR, which I went with here. This is 24mm. This is a 20mm premium bass speaker from the Custom Saber Shop. I think it is a Vico. And then this is the 25mm mid-woofer that I like to use on a lot of hilts, and especially the Luke Return of the Jedi hilts. This just has really a great frequency response. You get great highs, great mids, decent lows. Whereas this guy and this guy will give you really good lows, decent mids, and kind of weak highs, because these are woofers. They are not tweeters. They are not mid-ranges. This is a mid-woofer, so it is a mid-range and a woofer. Anyhow, so let's get off the technical nonsense. This guy, like I said, just plugs right in. So we'll go ahead and do that. And you have your saber here. Let's pull a chassis for you guys so you can see how that works. It's a simple matter of taking out this cover tech. So it's got a small, probably a number 1 sized Phillips head screw. You don't have to pull it all the way, but I find it easier. So you just pull that off completely. And then over here, this is your blade plug. It comes with the hilt. This is the retention screw. So you just loosen this brass retention screw. Blade plug falls right out. In here you see the blade connector, which is the standard pogo pin TCSS connector. I find the best way to get the hilt, the chassis out, is just by pushing that through. If you pull on it, you're just going to pull the speaker off. That's not going to help. So you have to kind of push. And this is a snug fit, but here's what we're working with. It is TCSS pogo pin Neopixel blade connector. I incorporated the copper heatsink that comes with the saber because it's just really nice. It's incredibly well made, thick, heavy duty piece of copper that has 2 threaded screw holes that thread right onto the chassis. So it's a simple way of attaching either a Luxion LED system or your Neopixel connector. Plus it just looks nice and it gives the whole thing some extra weight. Here are your 2 LEDs. I'm going to kill the power so you can actually see them. They are small 3mm LEDs. They're right in, flush mounted on the chassis. A red one here, green one here. I actually went with white LEDs with this because I really didn't want the finished product, the hilt, to have like really bright red and green LEDs coming out. I wanted some kind of softer red and softer green. So what I did was I used the fact that there's a red and green lens in here, and I actually took a really dark red and a dark green Sharpie and just colored the white LEDs in, so that with that combination you do get a nice light unsaturated red and green color through the lens when it turns on. I'll show you guys that in a bit. Next up we have power and auxiliary, which are depressed using these little LEDs here. Underneath this is magnetized on. Underneath this guy, well, if I could pull it off theoretically. That's a pretty tight fit right now. Isn't usually like that. As you can see underneath there, it's just 6 LEDs with the leads cut off. And when you push on them, the bottom of the LED pushes this little 3D printed button system. And those in turn push 2 plungers down inside the hilt that press these two little micro switches. Next up we have a metal stainless steel cover that's going over the electronics. Some, I don't know if it's diamond plate, but just some diamond plate detail on both sides. 18650 battery, and this is a hexagonal stainless steel mesh plate here, again covering that up but allowing you to see inside. And recharge port, kill switch. Let's turn it on. And as you can see, that's really a cool red. Barely any red to it. When it goes through the red lens on the hilt, it actually will look a bit more red. But this guy's pretty straightforward. What I did for fun was underneath this section, I did a black stainless steel mesh up here with two color cycles that are running in parallel but inverted. And they do just a nice slow wraparound going both directions. When you fire the saber up, you get a nice power up turbine effect that goes from white to whatever the blade color is. So in this instance it's blue. And then a nice slow spin down. Similar effect to what you guys have seen from me before. Next one I think is purple. Yeah. So this is not a master chassis in the sense that you guys are used to seeing from me. No crystal chamber, no quartz crystals here, but everything else. It's got the fully loaded electronics and effects, Teensysaber, big battery, smooth swing sound fonts, 20 or so different blade presets, animated blades, color cycles, XN LEDs, but the crystal chamber, the crystal reveal that's designed for this hilt, has a crystal chamber that goes from right there, right between my thumbs, and I just, I thought to myself, it's kind of pointless since you're not going to see it unless you pull this guy out of the saber. There's no easy way to take this out without a screwdriver and taking your time, so it's not something that you're in real life really going to be showing off to people. And why add the extra $300, $400, $500 onto the price of what's already going to be an expensive saber? So this way we've got some fun going on, some XN LEDs, but no unnecessary expenses. What I'd really like to see is if Goth 3D would be interested in doing a master chassis setup for this hilt. So I'd love to see what his twist on a crystal chamber for this would look like, because I'm confident that he could do a really nice job and maybe make the crystal chamber a bit more substantial, something that would be a bit more worth doing than the one that we have so far. Not that I don't love the chassis design that Saber Project did. I definitely do. It's a great chassis. It's a monolithic chassis, as Irv Plecter would say, and it's great in how simple, clean, elegant it is. Nice, unified solution that you can just pop right in and out, and just works. Now, when we're putting it back in, you just want to slide it in slowly until you see through that little hole the black hole lined up behind it. And that's how you know it is lined up, and you can put your set screw in. And then you just tighten this guy up, crank it down until it's all the way in. And that's that. Screw this bottom bit on. It's a really tight fit over this 24mm speaker, but not so tight that it's a problem. It's just really snug, but it fits great. And I think the overall sound is greatly enhanced by using that 24mm speaker versus a standard 20mm. I'm gonna put the button cover back on. And like I said, this is magnetized, so you just pop it on, push it on, and that's that. Test your buttons, make sure they're still working. Absolutely. Now, what I love about this saber. The saber is the best scale all around to what the canon scale for lightsabers should be. I don't know if it's obvious to you guys watching this video, but if you look at the size of my hands and the size of the saber, this looks like it's almost a miniature. And it is. It's very small. Like this is just one hand. Like putting two hands on this thing covers the saber completely. So one-handed saber, and it is incredibly light, but it's got some weight to it, enough that it feels realistic. But the fact that Watto's Junkyard could design this hilt and execute it this well, this precisely, and in this small of a size, getting it exactly dead on size-wise versus the Master Replica's statue, and the fact that the chassis they could scale down to a size appropriate that it works with this, and yet still is capable of getting Neopixels and Teensysabers and big batteries and everything you want in there, it's a testament to how well designed this thing is. And it's probably my new favorite lightsaber for that reason, because it is just so darn portable. Like, you could just stick that on your belt and take it everywhere with you, and at the push of a button you could have a dual lightsaber, whatever you want to do, and this thing is just awesome. It really is. Blade only goes in about an inch, but that's okay, because if you use a 7/8 inch blade with a metal blade adapter, as this is designed for a 1-inch blade, but if you do it with a 7/8 and a 1-inch blade adapter, even though it only goes in an inch, tighten this set screw here, because it's metal on metal, you get a really sturdy blade connection. And seeing this thing from such a tiny little saber fire up and do that is just awesome. It really is. So, to begin with, I did a blue blade with the white flash. Next is purple. Nice bright green. Cyan. This is a lightly pulsing sunlight yellow. Nice bright red with the white flash. Incredibly good sensitivity. Nice fire blade. Is actually not what I meant it to be. This is a purple fire blade. I meant to program this to be blue, but it's a purple fire blade, and I am running the Durin Fire sound font on it, which is a really good combo. and I used K-Sith's crossguard smooth swing effect files to go with this font, and they match up pretty well. Strobe blade, electricity blade, Jedi seizure blade, rainbow blade, because I haven't made one like this in a while, so I figured I'd bring it back. And this thing is just so cute. It needs a rainbow blade, right? Come on, why not? This is the POV blade, aka the Tiki Torch. Battery meter blade. And then back to the beginning with nice bright blue. But this thing, it's just, you know, unless you have it in hand in person, you really can't appreciate how the scale makes it so truly fantastic, because this thing, for it to do what it does at this tiny little size and pack all of the power and options and the tech into it at this tiny size, is just, it blows my mind. Let me do a couple side-by-side comparisons for you guys so you can really see and understand just how tiny this thing is. And when I say tiny, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's awesome. Start with a couple pictures. Maybe. So this is Tusken Slayer down here. And this is the original Force FX Anakin Revenge of the Sith hilt. That's a standard size saber up top. That's how tiny and scaled down this Tusken Slayer is. Next up, this is the KR Ahsoka, the Shien, the longer hilt. This is not the best comparison because that's a really long hilt, but as you can see, that's a really thin hilt, and it's the same size as that. Here is, in person, the Shoto from KR. This is a little guy. This thing, basically the same size. It's like half an inch longer, maybe? Sideways. This is a skinny width oval shape. Sideways. It's barely wider. This guy, one of my other all-time favorites, also again because of the overall fit, finish, and compact size. These things are like right out of the same vintage. Like, they really are. Size-wise, scale-wise, these things should be rocking out together on Fridays for sure. And then lastly, this is a standard Corbanth MPP 2.0, which is a good sized saber. It's relatively perfect as far as scale goes to the Canon Vader saber, and this is kind of where this one came from, you know, in its original design. Look at the difference between these two. Like, this thing is a beefy monster compared to this guy. Just is. It's like an inch longer and 50% wider easily. Like, it's just, I cannot say enough how much of a fan I am of this hilt. You know, like I said, the finish is incredible. Look at the powder coat job on the black parts here. They're like a mirror finish. They're perfect. There's no flaws. The brass greebles, the silver greebles here. The finish is incredible. The machining over here and this channel, nice deep groove, incredible finish again. The chrome is incredible. Everything about it. Now, that brings me to my one quibble with this guy. The only thing that I don't like about it. The grips are rubber, which means that they're sticky and tacky, which is great to hold. It feels good in your hand, but That means no matter what you do, no matter how well you try to keep it clean, dust-free, whatever, these things just constantly grab lint and dust, whatever. So they always look dirty. Doesn't matter how careful you are. And then the other thing, one of these guys is already, yeah, this guy right here, ready? Whoops. Like, really, what's that? Rubber doesn't stick. You can't stick adhesive to rubber and hope that it's going to stay, because it's just not going to. So I've played with this for maybe a grand total of 20 minutes, and I already lost 2 grips. Just came off in my hand when I was swinging it around. So I retaped them, reattached them, and one of them's holding out okay. The other one, as you can see, coming off already. So what I did was I ordered some standard traditional black plastic grips from the custom saber shop that are almost identical to these. The only difference is that they have a rounded tip instead of a squared off tip, but that's easy enough to duplicate. If you just take a nice sharp knife, you can chop off the rounded end, and I'm hoping that those will fit correctly. They'll be the right size and scale, and that because they're not rubber, once I mount them, they'll stay mounted. Because if this is a display piece for you, cool, fine, rubber grips, great. But if you're going to be playing with this, cosplay with this, dueling with this, forget it. You know, after half an hour, all 6 grips are going to be in your pocket, and this is just going to be a metal handle that you're playing with, because the grips just don't stay. The end, okay? And believe me, I've tried 9 different mounting tapes, 2 different epoxies. There's nothing that sticks to rubber. It just doesn't. It's like trying to glue silicone. If any of you guys have ever tried to glue something that's silicone, it just doesn't do it. You can't glue rubber. You can't glue silicone. Unless you're NASA. And unfortunately, I'm not NASA. So, yeah, that's my only real gripe with this guy. Everything else, huge fan. Watto's Junkyard, hit it out of the park. Total home run. Love it. Looking forward to your next run of hilts. Really looking forward to the Pariah, which is going to be a Ventress styled hilt. Don't know when that's coming, but sooner than later, I hope. And as always, thank you guys for watching. If anybody has any questions about this puppy, or if you want something built, or you just need some general lightsaber advice, hit me up. I don't mind answering questions. I have a few of these in stock, so if somebody needs one and they missed out, let me know, but they're gonna go quickly, so I can't guarantee I'll have them for very long. But I always try to get a handful of everything that comes out that's any good, and keep it around in case a customer of mine missed it. Thank you guys for watching, and holler back.